Alright, so in this video, I'm going to go over how to play the Rossolimo. So, I've had a lot of experience in the Rossolimo. I've actually lost a lot of games against good players, to be fair. I've won a decent amount of games too. But I've played everything, I've tried everything, and I'm pretty sure this is the best set. And the Rossolimo is like, it's a very strategic opening, is the best way to put it. Um, the problem with Open Sicilian as well, if we want to get to the details, is there's so many lines here. You can go Taimanov, you can go Kalashnikov, you can go Sveshnikov, you can get into the Knight Orb, you can go Accelerated Dragon, but you've already gone D4. So that's why honestly, that's the big reason of why we go Rossolimo. And this is the kind of the philosophy behind the Rossolimo. So let's just say a6. So a6 is a bad move because we want to take this knight and black is wasting a tempo. So if they're going to waste a tempo, you're already better. You want to think, okay, I can be a bit more aggressive now because I have a good position. So we're giving up a bishop, and generally you always want to have the bishop pair. And this is why the Rossolimo is a pretty strategic opening because you're going to close the position and you're going to play kind of against squares and the bishop. So if they have the bishop pair, they want to open up the position and you want to close the position. So you're going to always be trying to close. You're going to attack on dark squares because you have three pieces that can attack dark squares and they only have two because this bishop is of course a light square bishop. And they generally want to play on light squares and they're going to try to go d5 and break and you're generally going to lock it up. Now another really big part of the Rossolimo is you're going to try to fight for the e5 square. The e5 square is really, really important in the Rossolimo. Like that's the whole battle. It's all over that. Um, so so let's first go over G6. So G6, um, let's face it now. So G6, all right. So we don't take. We're actually going to wait. We're going to castle. They generally go Bishop G7, and we're going to go Rook E1. So Rook E1 is a waiting move because we want them to commit to if they're going to push E5 or not. So basically, this is the critical moment in the game, or at least in the opening phase of the game, where they either play e5 or they're never going to be able to play e5. So if they go knight f6, for example, now e5 will not be playable because the bishop is blocked. So they would have to go e5 now. Now once they go e5, we can take on c6 because it is committed. So bishop takes, so there's some fun variations here. So b takes c6. Um, b4 is a fun move. This is actually played by Fischer. Here, I will actually find it. Fischer and someone good too. Fischer versus Spassky. I think Fischer kind of cleaned him up with B4. Um, I have a really sad story with this. I got this over the board last round of World Open to win. If I win this game, I get like $3,000, and I get this position. I get a beautiful position, and I absolutely just sell. And and I was gaining a bunch of rating. I beat a GM. Like I still gained rating after losing, and I was playing like a 2,000, like a 2,100 FIDE or 2,000 FIDE. It was something low. Um, that was the start of a very bad chess run, I think. All right. Anyway, so yeah, B4 is super strong. If they go D takes C6, all right, this maneuver is really important. So first things first, we don't have to go H3 because if they go Bishop G4, we're actually cool with this position. I do you go knight d2? You can go knight d2 as well, but a computer really likes this. I think after h3, you're gonna play on the king side over here instead of the queen side. So now the more normal kind of variation I would say is knight e7. So knight e7, they're trying to castle. So we're gonna go a3, castle, and b4. And I actually love this position. I've had really good results with this specifically. Um, and here's like the really cool geometric pattern you're gonna go for. Oh, Hans likes it too. So bishop e6, bishop b2, queen a5, knight d2, and you're gonna go rook a5, hitting the e5 pawn. They're gonna go like f6, and you're gonna go queen a1. And now you have a really, really good geometry, really good, basically piece synchronicity. And then this d4 break is always super strong. The position just absolutely just collapses for them. Um, so if you can get this over the board, like you're gonna have a great time. So a3, b4 against d takes c6, and b4 just straight away against b takes c6. So, okay, so the next variation is going to be knight f6. So knight f6, all right, we're going to take. Um, okay, so b takes, please don't go b4 here. I think b4, you're going to get in trouble because it's diagonal. So e5, C4. Okay, so let me just do this again. So B takes C6. So D takes C6, H3, and B takes C6, E5, C4, Knight C3. And okay, Knight C3 is a really sharp move. So the idea is we want to go D4, and actually D4 does have merit, honestly. But D4 take, Queen takes, Knight E6, Queen H4. And here they haven't castled yet, so they can go H6 and then G5. Um, So knight c3, generally black will always castle here. So castle, and then we're gonna go d4, take, queen takes. I've actually had this game against like a 1900, got a beautiful position and just kind of cleaned up the board. And now the king is already committed. So bishop h6, knight e4, knight g5, some combination of this, and there's a really like free flowing attack for white in this position. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do with knight f6. If b takes c6. Now d takes. Okay, so we have time because he can't go e5 because the knight is blocking the bishop. So now we're gonna take care of the little things. So first we're gonna start with h3, castle, and I think d3 is a little better. Okay, so now if they go knight d7, now they're trying to go e5. The fight for e5 is basically it's official. So here we're gonna we're gonna go e5, and then you can basically just hold this pawn here. They're gonna do some like kind of funny dancing stuff. What else do they have? Yeah, they can do some funny dancing, but you go like bishop. Let me see. Is bishop f4 okay? Yeah, you can kind of do anything. Okay, so you actually watch out for this double pawn stack, quote unquote stack, or they're trying to train away, because this is their weakness, right? We want to keep them fixed on this weakness. So a lot of times, like b3 will be a good move. Queen d2, I don't really get. Um, but like b3, I definitely think makes sense here because they're threatening to go c4. Um, I think for the most. Okay, so B6. Yeah, and then there's a whole like let's get some space. Just wait. So once again, it's a strategic position. At some point, some day, you're gonna go like knight C3, bishop E3, queen D2, bishop H6, trade off the DSBs, and then maybe knight H2 F4. Or if you already got E5 in, then yeah, probably still then move your knight and go F4. Um, you can kind of poke on A5 sometimes if you want, but I would focus on the king side in the center first. A4 is just a space waiting move. But once again, we like space. We like waiting moves. All right, so that's going to be all of this knight f6. So e5, knight f6. Knight d4 is a random one. You're just going to take and go c3. So this is always kind of the way. Like, it's very consistent, all these openings in, like, Moscow. These, like, very professional strategic openings. Just take space. We like space here. That's good. All right, so that's pretty much all of G6. Let me just double check. Yeah, okay, that's all of G6. Um, all right, so I'm gonna do this. I'll just do it at the end. All right, I'll do all the problem sets at the end. Um, so we have G6, now let's do E6. Okay, E6, okay, so E6, what's the idea? So E6, they want to go knight E7. And they're basically, like, if we castle, for example, knight E7, let's say, like, C3, or let's say D3, better example. Now, if they go A6 and we take this knight, they don't get double pawns and they have the bishop pair, you can see black is already better. So that's the idea of e6. And to keep it simple, because I've tried a bunch of stuff, just take on c6. That's going to be the by far the easiest way to play here. So d takes c6 is already busted. Like it's like +1. It's just really hard for black to play. Like white is, I mean, the +1 does feel like an overvaluation, but I mean +1 is +1. All right, so now b takes c6 is the more common. Sorry, b takes. All right, so what they're trying to do is in a perfect world they want to go d6, e5, bishop e7, and eventually like f5 and all and kind of roll you in the center. I've played this from the black side, and it can be really fun. Now the way to beat the e6 Rossolimo is you got to wait. Basically, they're gonna make a lot of weird holes in their position. Just wait. A lot of times, castling queenside is very good. Um, and then eventually their position is a mess and you can do all kinds of things. You can break it open, you can move your pieces in, but all right, let me show you guys. So first we're going to start with d3. Um, so we're trying to prep for queen e2 and e5. So if they go d6 now, e5 is like really good. And this is just like free two result position for white. They got the shattered pawns. The bishops won't really play and you have a lot of squares for your knight here. So queen c7 is the more, or I think 97. Okay, 97 is more common, but it's bad. Anytime they go 97, h4 is like super effective. Because the knight is trying to go to g6, and you can just take it away, and you can still like castle kingside in these positions if you want. But they're gonna be stuck. They can't really go g6, can't go knight g6. So anytime you see 97 in the e6 line, look for h4. So queen c7, we're gonna go queen e2. Um, and basically we're threatening to play e5. And if they go e5 now, the new kind of hot line is you want to go knight f to d2. It's not even like that new anymore, I think. When is the last time it was played? 2023 was the first time it was. Yeah, and some random guy played it too. That's crazy. I wonder who the novelty officially belongs to, I think, this guy, but it was played at the top level just this year. Yeah, I think actually yeah, Bobby destroyed Akira. I remember watching that game. All right, anyway, so knight f to d2. The idea a lot of times is you're going to go f4 and kind of rip open the position. So when do we go f4? There's like a very special. Okay, so if they go d5, that's when you attack very fast, and it's going to be like take castle and then just open them up, and life is good. Um, Everything else, like kind of just play it by ear. Like b3, I like a lot because basically with b3. You had attack this pawn. It's not really sure where this bishop's gonna go unless you go f4, and you can castle queenside, like I mentioned. Like a lot of times, castle queenside is really fun here. Um, okay, so now if knight e7, once again h4, h5, and here e5 is very important. I think it's the only move to have advantage. Um, so at f6, I think we just hold. And just basically the idea is kind of what I said. It's gonna be a very like weird position for black structurally, and you just stay solid and you wait to counter. Eventually, there's going to be too many holes. That's kind of why I stopped playing it from the black side. Um, but if black gets everything they want, you're going to get rolled. So you have to be aware of that for sure. So make sure your timing over the e5 square is very precise. And like for example, like here, e5 is always good. So yeah, so Rossolimo with the bishop takes c6, e6, Ross. Just remember. Control the e5 square, d3 queen e2 first, and then castle and queenside is always there. I would say like that's the big stuff to know there. Um, okay, so those are the big ones. Now we have a couple sidelines. First, let's go over. Yeah, so a6 is bad. g5. G5 is a funny one because if you get scared, this is actually can be pretty dangerous for black, but it's g5. So remember, you can just take this. So take knight f6. And then I think the chill way to play, so there's two ways to play. You can give up this pawn and then castle queenside. It's a little bit more, I would say, risky. The other way to play, I think, is my student ended up wanting to play the risky way, so that's why that one is there. But I would just keep it simple. Like, what's he gonna? Yeah, something like this. And then, okay, the question is, how do you defend against bishop h3? You just go 91. And your upper pawn is position is pretty busted. Like you can try to castle queenside, but you can actually get in there pretty fast. And the attack does look kind of scary, but the structure was not made for this kind of attack. I've also tried to do this from the black side too. Yeah, I mean there's some games here too. Actually, that's good. Um, so yeah, so G5 you will actually see it every once in a while. I've never played against it. My student has. Um, okay, so now let's do the ooh, so let's go e5. So e5, you have a couple options. Probably the easiest is just c3, d4. And if they, okay, so there's actually a free win here that you can get sometimes. If they go a6, go bishop c4. Because if they go knight e7, they just lose. Knight g5 is just game over. And then basically castle queen h5 and they're toast. Okay, so this is really good for white. Okay, the really cool variation here is if they go knight f6, we're gonna go d4, bust it open, and basically if they know, they know, but there's like a really crazy draw here. So rookie one, if any other move loses, so d6, f4, you just have a piece. So castle, rookie 5, queen c7, you go queen d4, we're up a piece, but they have d5, and then we actually go knight c3, queen takes c4, and we go rook takes d5. And in this position, I mean, I guess you can play, but this should be a draw. White does have slightly more active pieces, but black should be able to kind of just opposite color bishops. But that's what I would say you do in this variation if you want to play against it. Um, okay, so e5 we're good. Okay, knight d4 is another sideline. So this one take, and for almost my whole life I thought castle was the best, but c3 is just like, once again, Moscow principles. Take the center, life is good. And you can be very aggressive here because you're way ahead in development because they moved the pawn piece twice. You already castled. So, yeah, so I'm going too fast. So bishop e5, knight d4, take, and then just c3. All right, so we're almost there. So yeah, Rossolimo is gonna be a big one. It's a long one. There's a lot of different variations, but you don't have to play the Sveshnikov, you don't have to play the Kalashnikov, you don't have to play the Accelerated Dragon. There's a bunch of stuff, the high time on of that you skip, so that's why this one's gonna be quite a bit. All right, so knight of six, easiest way to play. We're just gonna keep it simple. Let's go bishop takes, d takes, and then d3, and it's gonna transpose into pretty much everything. We know how to do this. One variation that's a little bit different is if they go here. G4 is supposed to be good. I'm pretty sure. I guess you could save it, but yeah, I mean, this is you have a lot of space. Probably castle queenside, honestly. Queen e2, b3, bishop b2, and another nice thing about the Rossolimo is all the structures are pretty similar, so it's never gonna be too confusing. You kind of just put your piece in the same squares. So e5, knight d5, castle, and then I think this is gonna transpose. We're gonna actually go knight c3 here, and it'll transpose into. Wait, we got a free move. That's crazy. Because normally we play knight c3 here. So here I would just go d4. Like you got a free move because knight f6 is a poor move order. Um, and I think that's it with the. Okay, so d6. All right, just keep pressure. Uh, everything will be in the Lichess study, so you can definitely click through it whenever you need to. Um, okay, the last variation, and this one is actually, I think I'm going to cover it in the Moscow. So d6 transposes exactly into a Moscow. So so d6, bishop b5 check, knight c6 is the same as knight c6, bishop b5, and d6. Um, so definitely check out that video. I would just say the big thing to know here is just go c3, d4 ASAP. Like c3, d4 and play that. But if you want to play aggressively there, you can, but it gets very, very intricate. So definitely check out that video. But that's it for I think all the variations. So let me go over the problem sets. So g6, we're gonna just take on c6. Um, sorry, that's totally incorrect. We're gonna castle, go rook e1, and wait. Now if they go e5 here, now we take on c6. And remember, if he goes b takes, we have b4. If he goes d takes, we go d3. So knight f6 here, we're gonna go e5, knight d5, take, c4, and then remember we go knight c3 first, then we go d4. Um, I think okay, you actually take on c6 first. I'm tripping. So take on c6 first, because if he goes d takes c6, you can go d3 and it transposes. Wow. I'm giving all right. Definitely listen very carefully when I go over the problem set, because my initial response has not been quite on point. So bishop takes c6. If they go d takes, then we go d3. If they go b takes, you go e5. Um, but basically now you control the e5 square. All right, so you have b takes. We're going to go e5, c4, knight c3 waiting move. That way he castles, then d4. If they go knight d7 here, we're going to go e5, control the e5 square. And then b3 is always like a very useful move because it prevents the c4 pawn sack to get rid of the double pawns. And in b6, we're going to go a4, just take some space. Space will be important at some point in this position. Okay, so b takes here, we're going to go b4. I think that's their choice. Ding, ding. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, it's different. Hopefully, is that the right thing? All right, and then for this, the geometry is you go bishop e2, knight d2, rook a5, queen a1, attacking a7 and e5. These are the two weak points in this position. All right, so that's going to be all of the g6. All right, now for e6. what you want to do is take on c6 immediately because they're trying to go knight e7, and then they want to basically get the bishop pair with the double pawns. So if b takes c6, the big thing you want to know is d3 queen e2, and the fight is over the e5 square. e5, the timing is very important. If knight e7, h4 is always really strong, h4 h5, and then just play that position. I think h4 h5, then we go e5 immediately. If they go d6, they're trying to go e5. Do not let them go e5. If they go e5 super fast, knight fd2 and b3 with f4 ideas if they open up too fast. Um, and then here, if what is this? Is it this? Same as this. So this is actually just one move deeper. So if knight e7, yeah, you go h. Let me see. You go h4. If d6, you go e5, and if queen c7, you go queen e2. That is all the e6. Now for the little sidelines. So remember, d6 is a Moscow. I'm actually gonna have to fix this. But check out the stuff on the Moscow, not over here. But c3 d4 is always what we're gonna try to do. It's the easiest way to play castle c3 d4. A6 here would be okay. So yeah, this is all kind of the Moscows. Okay, so no, the other stuff is here. Yeah, so here this is a bad position because you have to take and you can't tuck back. And if you go bishop a4, b5, c4 will trap the bishop. So knight of 6, okay, we'll go d4, and then just check out the Moscow video for all that stuff. E5. So remember, first thing is that this is not a free pawn. So bishop takes c6, take, knight takes. There's queen d4 and queen g5. So we're gonna castle and go c3. We're gonna keep the ideas very consistent. Castle c3, and if he goes a6, go bishop c4. Those positions I would say are pretty fun. All right, so if knight d4, we're gonna take and go c3, challenge the center ASAP, be pretty aggressive because you are way better developed. And last but not least, knight f6, we're gonna go bishop takes c6, d takes will transpose to d3, and b takes, we get a free move, and we go e5, c4, knight c3, and we get a better version of a position we get in a different variation. So for the most part, that is all the Rossolimo. Under 30 minutes, pretty good. It's very strategic. Remember, you want to be like water. It's a very flowy position for the Rossolimo as well. Your pieces kind of like just kind of edge on one side or the other and fight over the e5 square. And eventually you're going to break through. But just remember patience. And if you know the ideas well, you can play fast. That's where it's going to help later on in the back half of the game. When you're kind of just free flowing and they're low on time, that's when you can kind of pounce on them. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.